For real.
It's exclusive.
It's exclusive.
It's freaking fantastic.
And you know we have.
Fantastic.
And you know we have also the man, the myth, the legend.
Man, and look
And look at he's dropping hat. He got so nervous. So nervous.
Camera shot, no camera
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
All right.
here we go.
All right.
Hey everybody, this is Paris. I'm here with Godfrey from Gamertag Radio.
Hello.
And we're here with Rick Fiscarello.
Viscarello,
I said it right.
you go.
And you are the...
senior associate producer of Mercenaries 2.
Right. See, I forgot it in 5 minutes. I just asked him that. But
Otherwise known as a SAP.
right, there you go. So Rick, you're a SAP.
Yep.
Tell us what a SAP does.
What a senior associate producer does is, it could vary from project to project. On Mercenaries 2, what I do is I'm currently in charge of helping coordinate the design team to develop the concept for the game, as well as relay that information out to the other various departments. So like we have an art department, we have an engineering department, we have a tools department, animation department, and all these different departments rely on design to know what they need to accomplish with the game. So we tell the animators, for example, that we're going to have 150 different vehicles in the game, and each of them you're going to need to be able to get in and out of them. You need to be able to switch between different seats. You're going to need to be able to action hijack some of them if they're from various factions. And likewise, we need to tell the art department, hey, we need not only these 150 vehicles, but we need to have some of tanks for this faction. We need to have some helicopters for this faction. You need to be able to the doors need to be able to open and close, and all these different kinds of things. So so I help assemble the team and gather the information from the designers and disseminate it up to the other various departments, so that we can make.
You worked on the first one too?
Mercenary 2, yes.
Yeah. So what you learned from working on the first one now with the second title though?
What have we learned
from it? Yeah, from the past one.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of lessons that we learned from the first game. We did it through several means. One is we listened to the community, so we definitely listened to the sites, went to the sites and saw what people had to say, what they liked about the game, what they didn't like about the game. We don't like for example, didn't like the fact that we couldn't go into water, we just die and be like radioactive. We didn't like the fact that you couldn't knock over trees and cars, like this. And then also the design team as well, had their own kind of gripes about the game, and said, mechanically, we don't make much sense in terms of like how the shop works and the bribing system and elements like that. So we kind of took a big pre-production phase to the project when we first started, and just kind of took all that input from the community, from ourselves, and said, okay, what do we want this next game to be about? And so, and as Cameron pointed out, one of the things we want to do was make it very colorful and set in Venezuela and that kind of thing. So that's another big design change that we did.
Have you been to Venezuela before?
I haven't been to Venezuela before, but
So how you came up like with the ideas, like the locations in the game?
Well, I think one of the things that we did draw from the first game is that kind of ripped from the headlines feel to North Korea, and we saw that that was something that seemed to resonate with the community, and we definitely wanted to have a tie to that, but we didn't necessarily want to have it be 100%, if you will. So we definitely wanted to pay an homage to that. So we at the time, oil was becoming a big issue. Iraq War was just wrapping up then, and we knew oil was going to be a big scenario, and so we just looked around the world and said, okay, we're the big oil producing countries in the world, and so Venezuela was one that seemed attractive. We didn't want to do like Middle East because we think that's been played, but just kind of looked at Venezuela and said, that's got a nice variation in terms of locales. It's got a nice mountainous region. It's very green and lush. It's very different from North Korea, so we just went with that.
I never played part 1, so I'm like very new to this. So those that never played part 1, how do they have to play that to understand part 2?
Absolutely not. No? In fact, the elements that get drawn from part 1 are really just the mercenaries themselves. Part 2, another thing that evolved from Mercs 1 was that we wanted, and that we felt as a team, is that we wanted to tell a better story. So the story is pretty light on the first game, and while we still wanted to make the gameplay the main focus of the game, we just felt like the first game was a little light on the story. So we really kind of set up better, I think, the story in Mercs 2, so much that it doesn't require you to know the first game at all. You can just kind of just step into the first cinematic and see, okay, it sets up the story pretty nicely. There's no real links to the previous game in there, but there are throughout the game, there are little kinds of hints and touches that we've put in there that if you did play the first game, that you would say, aha, that, it'd be kind of little Easter egg kind of moments for those kind of players. So.
Well, the one thing I've noticed since we've been playing it today is within 5 minutes, I had everything down. And I noticed in all the presentations today, the thing that's been stressed is this is something that's going to appeal to everyone. They want everyone to be able to pick this type of game up and play it. And I can definitely say that is the case. How long are we looking gameplay-wise? I mean, is this going to be a very long game, or is this just going to be a very short experience?
I think if you were just to churn through the critical game path, I think you could probably get through it in about 19 hours. It's kind of hard to say.
And that's fair in today's.
It's kind of hard to say because as we kind of went through earlier. We don't tell you, we tell you what, not how. So accomplishing any mission can happen in any number of bazillion ways. There's no necessarily any time limit for you to complete it in the way you want to do it. So it really varies by player to player. But that said, there's a ton of other content, but if you just wanted to work through the critical path of the storyline of the game, I think that's probably a fair number.
Okay. Taking it to a technical aspect, it's obviously coming on Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. First question, how long has this game been in development, and did you run into any challenges between Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3?
Definitely. We've been in development for just over 3.5 years now.
Wow.
So it's been a long title. And part of it has been because of the fact that when Mercs 1 finished is when the new consoles started coming out, the 360 and PS3, and so at that point we had decided that not only were we going to have to make a new game, but we're going to have to, the technology was going to force us to create it on a entirely new engine, which also meant an entirely new tool chain, and then there was just like the engineers had to learn about these entirely new consoles. So there was a big pre-production period in our project, which allowed for the design team to really come up with some great ideas in terms of the story, in terms of mission layouts and a lot of the features that you are going to see today. And which allowed the engineering team gave them the time to build a new engine, from scratch, to build a new tool chain from scratch, and on brand new consoles.
Okay. Well, obviously we saw, because we're playing Xbox 360 version, and it does support achievements.
Mm-hmm.
What about on the PlayStation 3? Are you supporting trophies?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Is that something that could be in consideration for the future via patch?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But I think in Mercs 3, I think we definitely want
Right.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Within those 3 years, I know Grand Theft Auto came out, Crackdown, like open world games. Were there any changes that you guys made because of you learned from other titles that came out throughout that time? Like you guys got inspired from that?
We got inspired from it.
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit. I think every time when those games came out, we did try to look back and say, oh, how does this reflect on us? How do these games fit in the open world space, if you will? And every time we went through that exercise, we always felt like our game is completely different than those games, other than the fact that they're in a sandbox. But the mechanics that we have in our game, the kind of storyline that we have in our game, it's the kinds of things that you're allowed to do, it's just very different from these other games. And so we always looked at it as like, is this something that we need to change our own skin, if you will, about who we are and what kind of game we're trying to make. And every time we did that, we said, no, we seem very comfortable with where we're headed, and I don't know, I guess we just kind of believed in ourselves, like this is the game we want to make. We don't need to. I think in some semblance there may be things that we wanted to do. Like we were definitely impressed with GTA's ability to tell a story very well, and so that was already something that we wanted from the beginning. Also, when listening to the fan base and from our own sense, I think maybe we took that aspect from it. We wanted to tell a better story, so we spent a lot of time in that pre-production phase, writing several scripts of how we wanted the story to unfold and that kind of thing. So that definitely is something that I guess we could say we looked at those games and said, yes, they did we should do something like this in our game.
What about side quests, side missions? We're gonna see that in the game, or it's only based on the main story?
There's definitely a lot of side quests. As Cameron was pointing out in his demonstration, a lot of those blue triangles in the world, those are all optional content. And you can either do it if you want, or you don't have to do it if you don't want.
Well, that brings up the next question then. Will there be DLC?
I can't talk about that.
All right, what about demo? Are we going to see a demo for the Xbox and PlayStation?
I can't talk about that either.
Okay, there you go, guys. Cool, man. So why gamers should get this game once it comes out later this year?
I think gamers are going to be very excited about this game because of the amount of freedom that they're going to be able to experience. In the previous interviews, someone had asked me, what is it that the player is going to get subconsciously about this game that's not going to be like over the head with. And I had to think about it for a second, but oftentimes it's sound. People just kind of hear the sound and whatnot, and that kind of washes over you. And you're like, wow, it's just a great experience, and you can't put your finger on it. For Mercs, I believe not only the sound will do that, but the freedom that the player is given. The thing about what Cameron talked about, the what, not how. We just tell you what you need to do. We don't tell you how you need to do it. And so the player is just left in the open sandbox with all these different mechanics at their disposal, and they think, well, can I do this? Can I take the motorcycle and run into this other vehicle, which kind of looks like a ramp, jump in the air and get over that wall, and that's how I get over that wall. And generally the answer is yes. So the freedom, like the thing that the player experiences is that not only they thought it up, right, and they go, can I do this? Yes. And then they have this, what I consider the chuckle moment, where they go, huh, you know, they laugh because they're like, I can't believe I just did that. And the real thing that's underlying there is the freedom, right, to say, yes, you know, you can do, you know, a whole bunch of different things that you didn't think you could do in a video game like this.
And your favorite character? I see there's 3 characters, so which one's your favorite one?
My
and
favorite, the one I picked the most is Chris.
Chris.
He's just, you know, he's got the big muscles, and he's got, I don't know, I kind of think of myself more like his personality. He's kind of like he's been through several wars, and he's just kind of, you know, he's seen the world kind of personality, and but he's kind of got like this wry smile kind of underlying aspect to him that I kind of like. Each of the characters have their own unique personalities, and it comes out in the dialogue a lot. As you know, talked about the story, but there's also this, you know, immersive dialogue that comes out, you know, during certain events in the game. And so each of the characters have their own kind of unique, often comedic things that they say, and but I don't know, I just naturally gravitate toward Chris.